Today is Sunday evening. Let's see. Deborah, good to see you. Octavia, thank you. Rodney, thank you. Jeff, Stu, Ralph, fantastic. Salima, beautiful. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Appreciate it all from everybody in here. Thank you guys so much for joining. We have a lot that we're going to talk about. Hold on one second. Excuse me. We have a lot that we're going to talk about here today, this Sunday. Sorry about that. That was the wife. She's out of town. Well, she's visiting her parents just up the road a couple hours, but so she was calling to let me know that she's on her way back. So that's what that distraction was. But hey, that's how you know we're live. So let's get into it here today really quickly before we begin. Got to let you know I'm not a commodity trading advisor, simply here to show you opportunity. What you do with that opportunity is all up to you, as well as you have to be aware of any and all risk, understand that risk, be willing to accept that risk and take on that risk. And any trades that I talk about here today, if you decide to take them, know that that's of and on your own volition. Most of you guys in here know me. Just in case you don't, I've been in trading education for 16 plus years. I am a licensed financial, I'm licensed to do, financial investment, services. I own co-founded a managed fund, and I co-founded a retirement estate planning company as well. Have my MBA in finance and global portfolio management, and working on my doctorate in finance and economics as well. Quick housekeeping thing is Discord. Those of you in here, if you're not a part of our Discord, let's go ahead and change that. I'm going to send the link to everyone. There is our Discord link right there. So if you guys want to, please go ahead and click on that Discord link that I just sent in the chat, and join us in this chat. We have individuals that they will place their trade, they'll place trades that they're taking or taking. You have individuals that I showed a pattern on SMR that we were talking about. We've had people discuss some of the things about, things that were brought up in the Sunday sessions, and, just great interaction between everybody here, right? So what I'd love for you guys to do is join in that Discord channel. If you're not a member yet, please feel free. It's absolutely free. You're not going to have to ever pay for it. It's something where I wanted to create like a group of traders helping traders, and people learning from each other as well. So if you ever have questions or and need anything, that's a great source to to communicate in. There you go. So we also have some special sessions coming up this week. I will be posting those in the Discord. Webinars on Tuesday, Wednesday of this coming week, and continuing on. And we have some, which leads me to kind of the big news, right? So fundamental announcement wise, Monday, government shutdown? Question mark. Everybody knows that the government has the potential to shut down this week. Nobody has accurately ever said what day. We're anticipating Monday as far as a government shutdown. We're anticipating Monday as far as the government shutdown, but for how long? I don't know. Will it happen? Hopefully not. I will just take a quick jump into this. Basically, President Trump is confident that they can get this worked out before the end of the day Monday, and at least do some temporary extension measures so people get paid, and things like that. Has it ever happened? It has happened more times than you could count. I have less fingers and toes than the government has shut down. It's happened a lot. It's happened in under um, Bush Jr. once. I know I can think of. President Obama for sure, President Trump again, President Biden, yes, and President Trump as well. So we've seen this. It has happened. At one point when the military stopped getting paid, that was like one of those, people started calling their congressmen to say, get this stuff done and get this stuff taken care of. You know what I mean? And at that point, that's when things got moving. So we'll see what happens with this government shutdown, if it even shuts down. Additionally, these are all pending because here's one thing, right? The what we don't what never gets known in a government shutdown is, are these announcements going to get released, or is it next month that won't get released? Is there going to be somebody there to read the numbers? I mean, no one, it's like postponed. We'll know the day if the government shuts down. So that's why you see these next announcements that I'm going to go through in purple. So on Tuesday, we have the JOLTS job openings. We have consumer confidence. Wednesday, we have ADP non-farm numbers. And then Friday, we actually have non-farm payroll as well. Okay, so those announcements pending potential shutdown. All right. Then earnings wise, we have Carnival Cruise Lines, Nike, and Paychex. I those are the three biggest ones that I saw that I would, give any weight to or pay attention to at all. For myself, let's see. I had a phone call booked Wednesday, September. Neil, I never saw that on my calendar. I'll get with Brent on that. Hold on one second. And if anything, Neil, if I get your if you want to, how about this, Neil? Do this for me. I'm gonna send you my email and send me an email tonight reminding me of this, and we'll get something scheduled between us. How about that? Thank you, sir. I do apologize about that. These are back to this. These are the ones that I find relevant and largest by market cap. Not a lot going on, next quarter. It will be the kickoff. Next week is the kickoff to earning seasons again. So we'll get into that next quarter. But Nike and Carnival kind of gives you insight into consumer sentiment and consumer spending. Is there a lot with Carnival, right? Is there a lot of leisure spending, which shows that, hey, there's a lot of available money, extract, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Winifred, I don't know what that would be. If you maybe you need to make a new username and password for your Discord there. I'm not sure on that one. I just have the room. I am not a tech wizard when it comes to Discord. But Paychex is just a good one to kind of, that one, it lets you know how well our business is opening, things like that. They'll have some good kind of information in their 10K, but it's not something that I pay attention heavily to. Okay, then let's do a brief check-in with the news really quickly. So this is where we have, FOMC members speaking. That's just, various ones with their opinions and stuff. We do have consumer confidence as well coming out. We have non-farm, we talked about that. And then last week's announcements, I want to touch on those a little bit. So we had core PCE price index. It shows that inflation is still at 0.2% for core PCE price index. We did have a GDP numbers come in, and those came in. June was revised down. So last quarter was revised down to negative 0.5%. And this month that we were supposed to come in at 3.3, but we came in at 3.8, which is great. We had lower unemployment claims, which is good. Durable goods orders were up. GDP prices, price index, that rose as well. So that means prices are getting more expensive. And let's see. The other one that we wanted to talk about was consumer sentiment and confidence. Again, sentiment and confidence just kind of remained flat. It's not great. We want a number below, I think we want a number higher than where we are right now, but we'll see. There's a lot of concern around tariffs and things like that. So, again, just watch the headlines for the government shutdown. So we saw this Fed rate cut struggle to revive job growth as small businesses face tariffs and credit crunch. This is true. Well, that's what's probably going to potentially spur on another round of cuts as well. U.S. job growth was likely subdued in September. We'll see what that looks like. Government shutdown could disrupt economic data and financial regulatory activity. This is something that I will pass out to everybody. This is a good article here on that. Ooh. I don't know what I just did there. There we go. Control C, Control V. Enter. Can everybody see my screen, or are you seeing just a black screen? Everybody can see my screen? Carrie says yes. Todd's okay. Deborah, yep. Okay, good, good. So, Todd, you may be just on the Zoom. There may be another tab that you need to see where it says like James's screen at the top, and that may be it. So, sorry about that. But this is something that we want to pay attention to. What could happen. Canada is seeking to attract tech workers who won't get US H-1B visas. That'll be a very interesting thing. China is pushing for US concession on Taiwan's independence in trade discussions. Sources say considering Trump is considering tariffs on all foreign electronics based on number of chips. U.S. is telling India any trade deal will be contingent upon New Delhi no longer buying oil from Russia. So we kind of have like a lot of just mixed news here. Um, let's see. This is a good article about the government shutdown. This is the other one that I wanted to focus on. I'll send this to everybody as well. It just talks about how markets react in government shutdowns. I personally think you get a run on gold, and a little bit of a drop or correction in the market, just simply because like markets hate uncertainty. Okay. Let's see. Anything most read stories? Um, let's see. Oh, we did get a revision on the pharmaceutical tariffs that came out. So essentially, if there's a trade deal in place already, they won't have that pharmaceutical that additional tariff on their other good on pharmaceuticals. So that's that'll help spur on the pharmaceutical and then Costco, they beat earnings. They were expected $5.80. Sorry, they were expected 5.80 and they came in at 5.87. That's about the majority of the news. So we're gonna get hit into the live market here. Um, the first stock I'm going to talk about again is Lululemon. We'll give an update on that. So, Lulu, I talked about it on September 20th. It was 166.86. I had said this was a good potential buying opportunity. Since September 20th, it is up $9.44. Okay. $9.44. Since uh that day. So let's take a look at it and see where we are right now. So I'm going to add on our market energy, and I'm going to add on hedge fund trender, And then I also would like to add on a fib mastery system as well. So, and let me make some quick edits here. Okay, so we are still anticipating this to rise up to 189.98. That's where it would be in the kind of take your profit zone for the fib short-term fib mastery. I am still personally looking at a price point of around 200. Well, what is the low on that? 197.67. So let me put a horizontal line there. 197. You know what? Let's just edit it. 191.97.67. That is exit one. Exit two. It's the low there. 329.60. 329.60. So these are my two limits on Lululemon. Again, I discussed some of the reasons for these limits. One would be higher sales spurred on by the new American Express Platinum Card benefit of every quarter. Individuals who have that card will be able to get a $75 credit at Lululemon. Well, you're more than likely going to spend the $100 instead of 75 to get something or more. And then you look at the number of card holders that would use that credit. It's a very, very profitable thing for businesses because generally their per cart spend or their average spend is, double what that benefit is. So therefore, people will end up buying more, which would mean greater inventory turnover as well as higher same store sales as well as higher online sales. So this is a stock that I absolutely like. Again, I'm going to put the notes in there here. Looking for what is the stock price? 197.67 and 329.60. 197.67 and 327. 9.60. Okay. The other couple that I want to look at with everything is UNH. That is one that I think is gearing up for a little bit of a pullback. Okay. I think it's gearing up for a little bit of a pullback based on my personal indicator as well as the RSI here, looking for a little bit of a pullback just to fill this gap to 319 from 344. And then I think we rally up and finish filling this gap, which is low 376.84. 376. 376.84. So I believe that we will fill 321.93 before going to 376.84. However, it could continue to rally. Market energy says buyers and volume says buyers. Just a little caution there if you're just jumping into this, okay? If you're not in it yet, I would look for like a pullback to 321. Anything in that 321 area, I would look for buying opportunity. And then we're gonna go for 376, and then our long-term target on this is way up yonder. That's a technical term, just in case you weren't aware to 582.56 is our long-term target. Since we talked about this on July 20th, it is up $56.08 since we discussed it. Zoom is another one that we discussed, and I'll jump in there. And Zoom is continuing its rally. We kind of got our little bit of a pullback here. We're anticipating it falling to about $80. I could even potentially see it falling lower to fill this gap on the daily time frame. But here is where you would cut your sell off first. Then if we continue to push down, then we may look at, 73.54 somewhere in there to cover this gap. If it does push this far, that's not a problem. This is going to be continuing to bounce between these numbers and then eventually take off. As you see, we are starting to make higher highs, higher lows, and we're looking for that next higher high, right? If we get that, then we know exactly we're going to just continue to hold on to this and continue for the run up. On since we talked about this was up $11.41. There's some usual suspects that I'm going to cover here today. Definitely OKLO, because that's had a pullback. SMR, that had a pullback. We'll talk AMZN and AMZU, NVIDIA. And then what other companies would you guys like to look at? What other companies? So AppLovin, I'll throw that on there. It doesn't matter. You can just type in your ticker symbols right now and we'll take a look at them. I do not mind. I'm going to just try to fill these in as best possible. But you tell me what you guys want to look at fast, okay? FAST. It could be tickers, it could be Forex, it could be anything you guys want it to be. Does not matter to me. Anything you guys want it to be. Etsy, eBay, SoFi, okay. I'm going to give you one or two as well that I am currently on my radar. What in the world? There we go. Etsy, eBay, SoFi. What else you guys want to look at? We got AppLovin already. CoreWeave, I love it. RWV. And we can look at futures. You guys tell me, what do you guys want to look at? Okay. PPTA, absolutely. PPTA. Rigetti. InQ. Ionic. Alibaba. AMD. I think I have AMD somewhere already down there, but if not, that's fine. Oh, I already had app. Okay, well, I'll take that out. And I had CoreWeave as well. Can delete that one and bring it on down. And anything else? Any Forex positions, Jerry? Going once? All right, going twice. All right. Well, if you guys have any positions that come up after those, then we will definitely try to um take those into account. Let me just do one quick thing here. Get the stock prices for them all loaded up. Yeah. NQ won't work on that. I forgot. All right, perfect. So let's jump into them. I'm going to put this on another page so I don't lose my spot, and we will discuss them as well. So let's start with OKLO. So OKLO, we saw that we talked about this last week. We had this massive jump up. We talked about a pullback. We did pull back to 110. This is where selling would normally stop, right in this area. However, I think we still see a little bit further of a push down. We haven't gotten energy telling us that, hey, it's time to buy. We still have a gap in this up here to 130. So here's what I would say to everybody. Cautious entry on OKLO Monday at 110. I think you're okay. the fear is that, that's a $20 gap that it would push up. So that could be a $20 return. I don't mind if you're building a position, one or two shares at that level as well. Let me look at my other here. And so again, OKLO, we just hit the 20-day moving average. If we come down here to the 50-day moving average, I would fully expect that. We have not been oversold, gotten in that kind of oversold zone down here on the RSI. So we could still continue to push down, but we are seeing some buying volume ramping up. And I never like to see why is price falling, but buying is ramping up. That is dissonance. And anytime there is dissonance or divergence, there is an opportunity. Okay. So when I look at this, I say to myself, I would set a position, an entry at the 110.53, and then for a small number of shares. And then if I can get another bit of it right at around like $96, where this last level of support and resistance was, or even down to $85, I'm taking advantage of that. So I'll put 3 lines on here right now. 1, 2, and 3. Those are the levels that I'd be looking to attack. All right, 110.53 where we are, 96.16 where the next level support and resistance is, and the 50-day moving average is, and 85.24. I think all 3 of those great levels. But that is something that I would absolutely look into. All right, so let me just put this info here. 09/28, and current price is 110.53. Buy now and 16 and at 85.24. Okay. And then we also need to do one quick thing here. Oh. We'll do that. Okay. And then SMR. Let's take a look at SMR. SMR. So again, what I'm looking at with HFT is I'm looking for either blue dots to tell me to buy, because SMR definitely had a massive pullback there. So I'm looking for a blue dot on this daily time frame to tell me to buy. We are in the buying zone on my personal indicator, but the market has been pulling back, even though there's been buying volume. Selling energy is still high. And so I could anticipate this continuing its fall, but we still have a gap for $38 to $49. So I would say personally, I don't mind a buy at $38 on SMR, right? I know my downside is probably down to 25. So that's $13 down. I know my upside is probably 50. So that's $12 up. So down or up, I'm okay. I'm right in that midpoint. If we could have bought it in this sweet spot down here in 32, absolutely would have loved to. But we've given all the big jump from a couple of weeks ago back. We've given all those gains back, and we're kind of where we need to be. And so I absolutely love it at this price point. I would not mind a small buy, but no, this is if you're buying the stock option, make sure you buy some time on it, because this is going to be a long-term play. This is not, and if you're doing an option, you're going to want to build an option position. I don't know if you would want to do it right at this price point, or see if there's still a little bit of fall left there. If I go and look at it with SMR with Tyson's fib tool, again, we've already sold off what we were going to expect to sell off. And as you see, Daily SMR, we still have the a red dot and selling energy is still high. Personally, that means it's probably going to fall a little bit more. Could it fall to 33? That's a $5 risk that I'm willing to take. Okay. And I can just pick up a couple more shares at that level, right? So, um, wait for blue dot. So what we're waiting for is if you are waiting on this, you're going to wait for the blue dot to appear or buying energy to be overselling energy. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Beautiful. All right, let's take a look at good old Amazon. Amazon here, we have not got the blue dot yet to buy. Have not got the blue dot yet to buy. I feel like I'm singing there. But whenever we do, we know that this has a rally from where we are right now to 219 up to 230. If you are not, and I do like to see selling energy is decreasing and buying energy is beginning to increase. If we drop down to like a 30-minute chart, I'm sure. Yep, just as suspected, we did see a blue dot on the 30-minute, saw the rally up, pulled it back, and then I think we'll get the next rally up. Amazon ain't going nowhere, so I am perfectly content on waiting for another buy on the daily, right? So waiting on another buy on the daily, so 09/28, 219.78. Wait. Waiting for blue dot. Now, if Amazon is a little too rich for your blood, one of the things that I do sometimes, and I'm letting you know, this is a higher, more volatile kind of way to trade. Let me repeat that. This is a higher, more volatile way to trade Amazon. This is AMZU. What this is a 2x ETF share. So the price of it is only $34.90. It tracks Amazon, but it moves twice as much as Amazon does. So if Amazon loses a dollar, it loses two. If Amazon gains a dollar, it gains two. So just think of it that way. It's 2x the volatility. It's not a dollar for dollar move. Let me not say that. I don't want to confuse anybody. It is not a dollar for dollar move, but it does move more, and you can get more of it and get decent returns. AMZU, I am liking seeing the selling energy down and buying energy starting to rally. If we get a blue dot, which we could on Monday morning, then I would look at this for a buy to at least 38.93. Okay, so we're at 34.90. 38.93 is where we're potentially looking for this. We'll call it a wait, but buy if price if we get blue dot. All right, everybody good on that? Yes or no? Any questions so far? I know we're kind of running through these things kind of quicker than we normally do. Um, any questions, comments, fears, hopes, wants, wishes, desires? Let's see. No and yes, I love it. All right, perfect. So let's go over to the next one, which is 0928, which it will be oh, there we go. Which would be Nvidia. So NVIDIA has one of these ProShare ETFs as well called NVDX is what I like. We'll look at that briefly. NVIDIA is kind of stuck in this holding pattern. I'm not liking NVIDIA right now. I'm going to give you guys my take on NVIDIA. Let me see if I can find this. President Xi says Huawei will have faster chip than NVIDIA. So President Xi discusses this 3-year plan to challenge NVIDIA chips. And basically, we all know let's just be real, say what it is, how good Chinese manufacturing of electronics are. And they are looking at um, improving what NVIDIA does in their chip technology. They said NVIDIA's current generation Blackwell chips, they are faster than what they have, but the other one, um, sorry, Huawei claims that they have something that's faster than NVIDIA's next chip. It's 62 times faster. So that is going to be interesting to say the least, is, we're in this kind of technology war. Who wins this tech war, right? And it's going to come down to processing speeds, development, manufacturing, things like that. So Huawei is definitely a contender here for Nvidia, and I don't know what the of that will look like. Okay, I don't know what the shakeup of that. Jim, it kind of just show. Jim asked me, "Hey, what are the red lines and the green lines show?" It shows the trend. It doesn't have to do. I don't use it in my decision making for buying and selling. I only use the red dots and blue dots for buying and selling. Does that make sense, Jim? And anybody else that's ever wondered that? So NVIDIA, I'm a wait on it kind of person, right? Wait. I want to get some sort of semblance that there's going to be an opportunity around NVIDIA before I start investing more money into it. I don't like this equal high, lower low pattern that we're experiencing, right? Where we've had uh equal highs. And then what in the world? Hold on a second. I think there we go. Equal highs, and then these like lower lows. Pattern that we've been experiencing, that is a wedge pattern that I'm not a big fan of. And that just means that if we create new lower lows and never come up above a new high, not a big fan of that. Okay. So I'm a wait on Nvidia person, okay? Right now. Any questions there? Now, look, I could be absolutely wrong, right? I could be absolutely wrong, and they could set a new high come Tuesday. If they do set a new high come Tuesday, fantastic. I'll start buying again. But I'm not looking at it at this moment as a buy right now. All right. NVDX, very similar, right? NVDX, not looking to buy it much more. Maybe if we get another little push up, okay, sure. But right now, I'm kind of just waiting for that next big kind of wave and next big thing to tell me, hey, Nvidia's ready to move again. So let's get into AppLovin now. Um, AppLovin just keeps loving moving up, that's for sure. Buying energy is still strong, selling energy is still weak on the daily. Let's look at my indicator and see where we're at. Again, cautious on this because While yes, we still have buying volume, we are way oversold on the RSI. My indicator is telling me, hey, it's time to be like locking in profits and moving targets up. Plus, I see a gap right in here, down at 511 from 669. That gap would be a massive 23% drop. That would be like missed earnings or something like that, would cause something like that. Or, the former CEO of Under Armour coming out and say he was committing fraud because he was misreporting his numbers every quarter for a number of years, right? That would be you know, why Under Armour could tank. But I don't see that from AppLovin. What I do see is there needs to be some sort of pullback. We did touch the 20 period moving average, which I like to see. However, it's been since, oh, nope, right there. It has been about 44 days since we had a pullback to the 50 period moving average. Okay. Yeah, I see that right there. Right here. It went from 668 to 623. Then you had another one there, but we're probably gonna see a I have 669.86 on AppLovin right now. So more than likely we'll see another drop from this stock down to potentially, let's see where Tyson has it going down. He has it 536, which is the top of this gap, which is the bait. I would shoot for the gap. So if we see buying energy begin to fall, selling energy, that's going to be your first indicator. The next is if you get a red dot. If you get a red dot, that's going to confirm it all. And those two things are going to be extremely powerful for you to be able to like lock in your profit. Now, let's say, hey, James, I own a ton of this and I want to maximize my return. Should I get out now? The answer to that is no. What I would do is I would put my stop loss where the worst thing that happens to me is I'm going to make some profit. So either 623.28, and if the market fell 40 bucks, yeah, I want to be out of that. Or 637.57. And if the market fell 30 bucks, I would want to be out of that, right? So chase, use your stop losses to kind of protect yourself as you're trading, right? You don't want to just get out of the trade just because of like your gut. You want to have a reason to. And if it drops, $10 or something like that, or $20 or $30, that's a good reason, right? That's a good reason to get out. And that's why I use stops as my friend and just start locking in profit all the way up. That way, if something happens, I don't get caught. And I'm not the one that starts giving all my profit back, right? I am a firm believer in that you can't go broke taking a profit, okay? And you can't pick tops and bottoms because all you'll be left with is stinky fingers, all right? Let's look at fast here. So Fastenal, we got a buying opportunity the other day at 47 and it's jumped up $1. Um, Market Energy says it's still good. Let's take a look at mine. I like it. I like the buying opportunity. The only thing that's a little nerve-wracking still is selling volume, but it's dwindling. So buying volume is on the way. I think this is a great, a great potential push up. When is earnings on it? Monday, October 13th. So, maybe a good push up here, especially if we get another 20 period crossing over the 50 period. If we get that back up, and then we know we're in a good opportunity to let's see, good opportunity to buy. But you are willing to give that money loss in the drop of the stop loss. Uh, but you are willing to give up that money lost in the drop of the stop loss. Yes, yes, I am. That's absolutely true, Jerry. Yes. So that's App Lovin. Or sorry, Fastenal. It's at 48.70. We can look for a buy on that. And let me do a couple other things. Why is this just, oh, no, I want these four. Okay. Let's take a look now at Etsy. Actually, there's one I want to talk about first, which is this is actually brought to me by one of the clients slash good friends of mine now. Um, he suggested buying Fannie Mae. I'm not gonna lie, we talked about it in like May, June timeframe. And I was like, I just don't understand where it would go. But now I see, there's talks of combining Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and letting them go public together. We had a sell opportunity. It's pulled back. I like buying on pullbacks. I think there's a dip, a little bit further dip here. If I were to plot a fib from here to here, that tells me that we could see $9.57 again, which I'd be a-okay with buying it there. And then if I look at it with Tyson's tools as well as Mark Helwig's, FNMA. FNMA is the ticker symbol. And current price is $12.75. My idea here, okay, there's not a gap, there's a wick there. So let me just show you that. If you see, there is a wick at this $10 area. There is a gap, and this gap was already filled. So there's no gap right now, but support and resistance is 1166. I don't mind buying this with the understanding that, hey, I might see a little bit of a fall down to like 75 cents or something like that. Right. So I don't mind buying this at this current price point. Buy. Now, I will tell you, you're going to hold this. This is not going to be a fast trade. I'm fixing to learn you on that. This is not going to be a fast trade. This is one that you're going to want to hold, and you're going to want to hold for a good little bit. And the reason why is if there's already talks of bringing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac back public. There's already banks involved and underwriting the deals. So it looks like all things are a go. When that happens, this could be a massive pop up. Okay. When that happens, this could be a big boom. And you owning shares now could mean some good potential money there. Okay. So for me, I'm okay buying, a decent amount of shares, 50, 100, 200, whatever you're looking at. Or if you're going to trade, use options, maybe a leap or something like that, a 1 year option. I don't know what that would cost, but that will be a pullback. Sorry, I'm just putting this in the notes on this doc that I'm keeping so I can keep it for my personal records and what we'd talk about and stuff like that. But I do like, kind of the Fannie Mae opportunity there. However, be cautious. You make the decision that's best for you. Know that selling energy is still saying sell. We know that we missed a couple earnings. So we still have opportunity in that. No options on FNMA. Thank you for that, SB. Did not know that, my friend. I appreciate that. So there you go. Don't trade the options because you can't. All right. That's a simple, right? That's a no trade. No, no, this one I personally will more than likely be picking up some shares on Monday. Personally, depending on what I see the market do. If you're not in it and you're looking for a price, either A, wait for a blue dot, B, wait for market energy to be buying, or C, wait for around like 1185-ish or so. You know, if we were going to put a fib, you could even take it down to like 955 if you wanted to and look at around $10, but I'm not afraid of a $2 pullback and a $2 up, right? Uh, FMCC, that's Freddie Mac. Freddie, yeah, that's Freddie Mac. Again, look, they're tied together. There's talks of some linkage between the two and blending the two companies into one. So that would be one. All right, so there's that. Let's take a look at Coinbase here. Coinbase, in looking at Coinbase, waiting on a blue dot here before we get this rally to fill this gap. I like Coinbase. Obviously, why they fell is price of Bitcoin. You know, when it started falling, they're gonna fall. That just is what it is, to say the least. But Coinbase also they have 50% of the profits from Circle coming to them. So that will be a thing soon. And I do like Coinbase as a stock. I like them as a company. I don't see them going in anywhere. So when I look at Coinbase, wait for the blue dot to start buying, right? So that's a wait as well. I think this week is going to be a lot of waits, basically with the potential government shutdown, Netanyahu coming to the White House, and what's going to happen potentially in Gaza after that visit. We're still continuing on with Russia, Ukraine, still continuing on with tariff plans and trade deals. There's a lot going on, and then you add in a government shutdown, and that could be again a couple of different things, right? That could be cause a couple of different things. So this is a wait, all right, just a wait on that. um so we've had Amazon, Amazon, Nvidia, and Coinbase all in the weights. AppLovin, if you're not in it, it's a wait or protect yourself as well. So let's take a look at CoreWeave. CRWV. And all right, CoreWeave. Look, CoreWeave is a great company. All right, great company, especially if you want to be on an AI kind of play because you know, you have NVIDIA builds the chips, then they build these data warehouses, then CoreWeave is the technology that gets all of these different, you know, these independent chips working together. And so we're in this pattern of the same pattern I always talk about, which is the IPO pattern for a lot of tech companies, right? They come in, they explode up, there's a sell off, there's a pullback, there's another sell off, a pullback, and then we kind of just ride flat for a while. So, am I looking to buy this right now? Absolutely not. It is a company I like, but I'm waiting for that kind of flat zone. And the reason why I'm waiting for that flat zone to happen is because it's happened everywhere else. And so I will err on the side of patterns versus patterns that will lead to potential profits rather than just jumping in. So if I can, I would look for this thing to again fall down a little bit, flatten out for a while. It'll probably sit in that like 100 to $80 range. And I would be happy buying it there and holding on to it for a while. Okay. Um, So let's see. Wait, James, this time is different. Absolutely, they always are until they're exactly the same. I get it. CoreWeave, fantastic company, great profits. But you just I don't like companies that don't meet earnings. Um, and I want to see time be on their side. Every company does this. So Rigetti, look, Rigetti I owned. I'm not gonna. I own this at like 10 or 12 bucks. I got out of it when it hit like $20 this first time, and then I didn't get back into it. It just kind of fell off my radar, and then man, I'm an idiot for it. Um, Look, this is the future. Quantum computing is the future, but I don't see quantum computing as profitable yet. We need to hit AGI first. Okay, we need to hit AGI first, which is artificial general intelligence, and then artificial ASGI, which is artificial super general intelligence. And then quantum computing will take off to another level. Okay. So also like QBTS, yes, is a great example there. I do see this coming back down, probably coming back down into this like $20 to $16 range. Will I pick up a few shares at 20 or 16 bucks? Yes. Just because, they'll have their run ups and their run downs, but there's so few quantum chips, but they are so advanced. Like, you ready for this? So what was once thought unhackable is the SHA 256 that regulates Bitcoin. Do you guys know that quantum computing could hack that code easily? Quantum computing could hack every single person's bank account in the globe in under 7 minutes. 7 minutes. That's how much. This is, I'm going to say a number, and it just is going to sound made up. Okay. This is going to be literally it's going to sound like I'm just making up words. This can't be a real number in the world. This can do a hexaseptillion number of calculations per second. Okay. A hexaseptillion numbers. So 10 times a septillion, which is seven with what? Septillion has, I don't know how many zeros behind that. A lot of zeros. We'll just say that. And that's the power of quantum computing. We are nowhere in the world near that technology yet, right? AGI and ASGI will take us to the period where we may need quantum computing. But quantum computing is just incredible. Like the things that they will be able to do with quantum computing is just mind-blowing. Hopefully, I'm alive to see some of them because I think it would be interesting, but who knows, okay? So Rigetti again, wait for the pullback. I'm not jumping into this one. QBTS, probably the same thing if I went and looked at it. Yeah, exact same thing. Wait for the pullback. I'm not interested in buying this one right now. And then let's jump into I got time for like two more and then I gotta run. So I'm gonna look at CoreWeave is again a wait. Um, and then and then we did Rigetti. Let's take a look at uh, uh what did we say? Let's take a look at SoFi. So SoFi 27.98. Look, I've always liked SoFi. I think I've been talking about them. Jerry probably remembers me talking about them in my last company I was with, right? It's been years and years and years. However, I think yes, we'll get a pullback in this, right? We'll see probably down to $26 range and maybe lower. If we go and we look at SOFI and we add on the fib tool, yes, $22 is where this thing's going to probably pull back to. And that's okay. I'm not looking to get into this now. Again, it's a wait for me. I want to see that $5 fall before I jump into that one as well. And then we'll do a little bit of US dollar analysis. And we'll do some dollar index movement here. We have dollar rallying. I can anticipate in the event of a government shutdown, would the dollar continue to rally up? I think money would leave dollars and go to gold, and or money would leave the stock market and go to the dollar. I anticipate the dollar to pull back about a good point or so. So go from 12,700 to 12,600. If I look at like the NZD USD, dollar weakness would help send this up. This got a bull opportunity. Market energy says sell. I don't have a blue dot on the daily. If I drop down to a 15-minute, I just got a blue dot there. Let me look at a 30. We're kind of in no man's land. We need a push, one beginning of a push one way or the other on the 30-minute. So daily time frame again, I want to see this start to move a little bit north before I'm comfortable buying it. Dollar's weakness is more than likely what we would see, and I think we would see like gold futures and gold jump. As you can see, we already have a bullish candlestick for this day on gold futures. I don't anticipate there being a sell move in gold futures unless if the government shuts down, then I don't anticipate it. If we don't avert a shutdown, we may be able to see a rally on gold. Another play is silver futures. As you guys know, I'm very big on silver futures. 46, I do think there'll be a little bit of a pullback on silver futures, maybe $3 or so before we see the next rise. And then lastly, we'll just hit the NQ real quick. NQ, we're seeing that pullback. In the event of a government shutdown, I anticipate there'll be a drop in the NQ as well. So, folks, that was a whole lot that we ran through there in a very short period of time. I appreciate you all coming for this Sunday. Looking forward to next week's as well. You guys have a good one, and I will see you guys in a webinar very, very, very soon. Thank you guys so much.